we promised to summarize that profile. Whenever I just have to listen to myself, it's a bit, but thank you to be here. And thank you to Noah for having invited me as well to join all of you. Indeed, earlier speaker Mikdad has quite elaborated a number of the things that were also in my speaking notes, so I will not go into some of them. But just to refresh a bit on, you know, Mikdad talked about also networking, keeping, you know, friends, even who can be your mentors and all of that. And I'm looking back, and we are in 2021, and 10 years ago, Mikdad was actually at my book launch in St. Martin's Senior High School, where a colleague of mine just told me, you have to meet this amazing young man. He's so spirited, a student activist. You guys have a lot in common. And that was the first time we actually met. He voluntarily came to my book launch, gave a spirited, you know, speech that incited a lot of the students to take up different roles, but also, of course, led to a boost in sales that day. So thank you, Mikdad. But that also speaks to how well, you know, 10 years, now it's been 10 years, and we find ourselves here, you know, on this platform with Noah, and my Daniel also, with way back in high school, did a lot of work together, and now also having to be on the same platform is just amazing. But just to go straight into, I think I would, like I said, Mikdad touched on a number of the points, so I would just go into a bit of leadership, but more moving away from maybe the political sector, maybe looking at leadership in a social context. And I think I'll start off with one of the questions that I think one of you asked, that should I have any leadership position in school, or should I be engaged in politics, or just have a leadership position before I can get a job after school? You know, and that brings to mind how we define leadership. And for me, during my journey as a youth activist, now working as a young professional, it's been very eye-opening what various leadership types that we have. And if you are listening now, you have to begin to identify what is your skill and what kind of leader you will be. Basically, a lot of time we focus attention on, there are different kinds of leaders. There are those who are usually at the forefront, you know, they lead from the front. And in most cases, that would have been my case, you know, where I was a school prefect and having to travel to speak in different forums at the United Nations, blah, blah, blah. There are those who have the eloquence, they speak, they lead from the front. That is their skill, you know, and so that is their kind of leadership style. They are always at the forefront. Then there are those who are not necessarily at the front speaking, but they are the people who are helping me or working with me to make sure that what I'm saying is on point, or even if I need to organize something, it's there, you know. So then we have other kind of leaders who are usually more task oriented. You give them an assignment to perform, they are so excellent at it. In fact, I just love the public space. I'm the one speaking all the time, attending the conferences, getting all the applause. But basically, I might not do well if you ask me to organize an event. If you ask me to organize an event, put people together, that is not my skill. But there are people who have that leadership skill. In fact, put them in a hall and ask them to get me 50 people for an event, and they will get it for you. And so we all have to begin to identify, when we say leaders, what kind of skill do we talk about in terms of leadership? In most cases, we find that society celebrates those of us who have the more eloquence to speak in public, those of us who have the public facing, and we are called leaders. But if you are not careful, where you are not able to identify where you fall as a person or your leadership quality, you will be forcing yourself into a space where you do not put up your best foot. And so if you are a student now in school, begin to analyze and assess your own self. What are you best at doing? Are you best at, you know, performing tasks? Maybe you are giving, like someone says, design something for me. I want you to organize something for me. You are good at that. That means that is the area you excel in. And so in your case, this is where you should be building your capacity and skill. So a leadership does not always mean going for the position. It could mean that there are people who also need to support those who have the various positions. And so you have to identify yourself and then find out, what kind of leader you are. And for me, this is what has been quite successful during my journey, knowing what kind of leader I am, where I fall short, where I do not have the strength, and then where I find others to also complement that. And so that is important. I think McDad also mentioned something about, as a leader, not to be narrow-minded. And that is very, very important. I think for most of us, it's a socialization process. You grow up thinking, it's about me, let me get the best grade, I'm an excellent student, I get the best grade, I pass my exams, it's all about you. And the world has changed. At best, if you are that kind of person who always are centered about yourself, at best you graduate, get a good grade, and find a job. But to be able to lead or to be able to have some kind of influence, you need a network around you. You need people who would also, look out for you and give you recommendations. And I always say my journey has not been because I am extraordinary or I know better, but it's because at each point in my life, I encountered people and I basically treated those people with dignity and respect, very open-minded. And these people are the same people who will recommend you, when you are not even aware. These are the same people who will provide references for you. And so when we also talk about being a leader, you have just two eyes, two hands, two legs. You cannot be everywhere at any time. But the people you interact with in your everyday life, the person you are sleeping with in your dormitory, the colleague you interact with in class, the impressions you make on each of them, these people could recommend you somewhere. These people could offer you opportunities you don't even think about. And this is what we also talk about. It's a social capital that you build. But I think many of us are very focused, that it's about me, this is what I have to do, and I'll become successful, I have this connection, I have that, but it doesn't work that way. If you want to become a leader, if you want to progress, you really have to, treat everyone with respect and dignity. And this is very important because until now, I still have colleagues that I call on who provide me support any day, anytime, even if they have to put their last bet on it. And Daniel is one of such example. Noah is one of such example, and it shows that as a leader, you always have to be able to build that network, but also treating people with respect and dignity. And so that's very important. I started earlier from saying what kind of leadership style. So again, it will be important that after here you go back and do some self-reflection. Who am I? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Do I like to do public speaking? Do I like to really organize stuff? Or do I like to be the one that, just put things together in terms of, if you give me an assignment, I finish it and it's excellent? Because that is where your skill comes from. So that if we are all going to gain an employment, it's not everybody who has to, be doing the presentation at work. Someone has to write the presentation, and there has to be someone who is excellent at that. It's not someone also has to be excellent at organizing people. And so those are the kind of leadership traits that we can all learn as you are in school now. Begin to look at yourself and define what kind of leader that you are. Now I'll go into I'm also supposed to touch a bit on, leadership and social and also healthcare, or those who want to venture into healthcare leadership, but this can be career opportunities in general. I think our host, our moderator, Ishmael Quaid, mentioned that he learned a lot of things on his own, online and all of that. And I begin to ask a number of us, we are in school, we want to get the best jobs, the best opportunities. We have laptops, we have mobile phones, but how many of us know how to use online tools, even Excel applications? Can you create a simple template? Can you create a budget? Can you write, even email writing is a whole profession. Sometimes people write an email, a message to you, and when you read it, you are like, they don't deserve this job. Like, there are a lot of hard skills that you have to learn. And this is very important. How do I word my email? How do I send a message? all this speaks about you. And so it's very important. You should begin to learn how to do some of these things. I basically, when I had the opportunity to leave Ghana to work in the US, my supervisor taught me a lot. I basically had to copy all the emails that she sent to our partners on a Word document. And then when I go home, I basically read her emails. And then it gave me an idea of how to write emails. Basically, if I send an email to certain groups of people, when you read that email, you will reply to me and you provide me what I need because of how I write them, anticipating, what a person needs and how to communicate. So this is very important. And so as you want to build your career in a professional field, whether in healthcare or any other field, these are some of the things that you really, need to take care of. And then also, a number of us we have big dreams, we have big plans, but basically, we don't sit down to think and reflect, how do I make this happen? Have you ever taken a day or a week and just say, let me take time from everybody else, whether to go home, to go somewhere and think, just think, whether for 2 hours, 5 hours, go and sit down, take a pen and paper and just think, what do I want to achieve in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year? Make a plan for that. Who do I contact? Who do I call? Who do I talk to? Make a plan. Once you make that plan makes you know which type of friends you work with on campus, who to connect with, maybe which of your family members you should contact. Make a plan. It's very important. Don't wake up every morning and just go to school, attend lectures. It doesn't work that way. When McDowell started his speech, he mentioned that he had a plan. And in fact, I will just do a short summary because I had a plan. I got admission also to the University of Ghana, but I decided to go to the Ghana Institute of Journalism because way back in high school, that was my plan to go to GIJ. Now, when I got to GIJ, how to finance my education was very difficult because I came from a good home, but I lost my dad at some point. And so I read a book by Robert Schuller called You Can Become the Person You Want to Be. And the book listed, 5 ways of planning for your life. Indeed, I sat down and I did that planning. I cannot go into it. But basically after that plan, I thought, how do I finance my education? It tells you do some research. I found out that in GIG there was a scholarship scheme that, it's provided for brilliant but needy students. I knew that scholarship existed. My plan was to get that scholarship. Whenever I woke up in the morning, that was my plan to get that scholarship. And so whoever I pick as a friend where I study, the plan was to get that scholarship. Simple, to cut a story short, I got a scholarship. Then I also knew that from the Lebanese embassy in Ghana, they funded me throughout my bachelor's and even my master's before I went out to do a second master's. But even after I got a scholarship, I had a plan to be close to the ambassador. And it did not come by chance. I sat down and said, I want to be close to this ambassador. How do I get close? I planned and I got close to him. And now I still have contact with him. He's one of my best colleagues. Now, there was also a scholarship in GIG that took students to Finland for an exchange program. I know it existed. I made a plan. I want to get that. And I got it. Basically, I just want to summarize that for everything that I have done and achieved, I made a plan. I sat down with a pen and paper and said, this is what I want to do. Who do I contact? Who do I talk to? Who can help me? And in all of this, Noah and Daniel are good witnesses to my life journey. And in most cases, you need plans. And so if you are here and you are asking, how do I become this? How do I do that? There's not a straightforward formula. There's not a magic strategy. Things work for all of us in different ways. You have to sit down to plan. And it's important, planning works. Because when I also decided to launch my own book, in fact, that process is a whole drama. Daniel and Noah know that very well. But I had no money. Then after I sat down and I was like, who can help me? It took 3 hours. I listed about 30 friends. I canceled. And I realized there was this one guy in school called DJ Khaled. He was so reckless. He would never do his things, but he had money, and he was my good friend. I called DJ Khaled, I need money, I'm launching a book. He said, come for money. But if I just did not sit down to plan and go back and think about my friends who can help me, he would never have come to mind. So basically, whatever you will need to succeed, whatever job you want to get in life, whatever you want to get, it will not come from anywhere. It will come from the people around you, who they know, who they don't know, but you have to make a plan of how to proceed, and that's very important. And so that's just one thing I'll touch on with regards to planning. And then also maybe the last thing to sum up here would be, someone asked the name of the book. It's called Robert Schuller, You Can Become the Person You Want to Be. The last thing I will touch on is when we talk about opportunities, there are so many opportunities out there. And at some point I would share my Twitter handle. Those who are interested can follow because I share many of them. A lot of you want to get scholarships to travel abroad. You want to get job opportunities. And if someone is providing you a scholarship of, let's say, $1,000 or 1,000 euros a month to attend and invest in the US for free or somewhere, they have never met you, they don't know you. All you need to do for that scholarship is to write maybe a motivation letter and put together a CV. And ladies and gentlemen, some of you think you can just use 1 week to write a CV and a motivation letter and expect to get a scholarship. Some of you expect to use like even a month. You have to put in effort if you want to get something done. When I decided to apply for my Global Health Core Fellowship in the US, it took 6 months to plan and submit my application. And then I got it, and that changed my life. You are looking for a life-changing opportunity, yet you write a motivation letter, you write a CV, and there are mistakes in them. In fact, I don't know, but everything is possible. When I say everything is possible, I mean it, but you have to put in an effort to get something in return. A lot of you don't want to add any value, you don't want to put in any effort, but you want to get a lot of results. When I wrote my motivation letter, it took me about a month to write it. And when I say a month, it doesn't mean I woke up and I was typing all day. I did my first drafts. After a week, I go over again, I read and I change some words. Does this represent me? No. I change again and I change. Then after that, I send it to some friends I know, sometimes to Noah, to other colleagues. Can you read through this? What should I change? After that, I keep sending it to different people until I send it to a senior level person who actually edits, and then it's completely good. By the time I submit this, why wouldn't I get an opportunity? But for some of us, you need a recommendation. You want to ask someone 1 week that you need a recommendation because you have not planned. You don't know what you want in the next 6 months. And so you are just rushing people to help you do things. And when they don't reply to you, you are worried. I have friends who send me messages that, yeah, Richard, I'm applying for this. And I'm like, when? They say next week. I will not reply you. You knew you had to apply for this and you are waiting 1 week to ask me for something. I had to plan my life sometimes 3 months, 4 months, 5, 6 months ahead when I needed to do something. And so that is very important. If you are listening now, you need to plan. Nothing comes by chance. And once you plan, you know who to contact, who to talk to, and who to help you out. Put in effort if you want to write motivation letters, if you want to write CVs. And there are a lot of opportunities out there. Like I said, you can follow me. I just shared my Twitter handle. Let me make it general. But I work with an organization where we share different opportunities that young people can engage in. But whenever you see an opportunity, plan for it. When you plan, you will grab it. And to just end, because I would like to take more questions, and then that can also help me. When I say plan and put in effort, and this, it's not a rhetoric, it works. And I will be vulnerable here and tell you a story, because this is Noah. I have Noah here, I have Daniel here, who know me very well, also Senior McDad. And so I tell my personal stories. They are my low points, but I tell them to people that I want to really encourage. And so there was a point in time in my, when I say you will make it, I say you will make it because there was a point in time in my life after senior high school, I didn't go to GIJ, I didn't go to the university immediately. It took me 1 year to become a teacher, to actually save money. And there was a time, you know, things were very difficult. I remember there would be times I called Noah at some point, I think after school, I was so broke, you know, and then Immediately, Ikono was like, no, let's just meet and have a conversation. We met, and then he gave me some cash. It's been like that with Daniel. Sometimes we meet, we talk, and for me to go to that, if I'm telling you this experience, that when I had nothing, when I say I had nothing, okay? Because after my dad passed out, some greedy relatives took all our properties, But that was my low point. So when I say I had nothing, I mean nothing. For someone who had nothing, okay, let's look at a lifespan of 10 years. I have traveled over 20 countries. I have sat down with world leaders, Emmanuel Macron, former IMF director, president. I have been in the same room with Obama, where there are just 10 seats separating us. You can go to my profile, you can go to YouTube, type Richard Dzikunu. So when I tell you that I had nothing, and that my colleague Noah gave me money, and to see the progress in my life, where now I'm based, I'm working with an international organization, it means that if you are seated and you are listening now, some of you maybe you'll have parents providing you money, what to do, whatever. You are not even in the category of not having nothing. For you, if you don't make it, it's your own wahala. But I'm talking to those who are actually struggling every day. There is hope you can make it. Because some of us have gone to that same pattern, but we decided to sit down and invest value in ourselves. Read. When we say read, I say the African man doesn't like reading. Buy books and read. People have lived the life that we seek to live, and they have shared their experiences in books. Why do we have to struggle? We have to read and get insights on how to also live our lives and make the right choices. And McDad talked about mentorship. It's very important. For me, even for mentorship now, it's good to go to someone and say, I want you to mentor me. But the best mentors you get are those that you show them by your attitude, and they even will mentor you. Recently, I don't know if some of them are here. Noah has connected me to a group of students who are helping me, do something. And a few of them, the way they have done the work, in fact, I'm so touched and I want to mentor them. They have not asked for mentor if they need it anyway. But these are people that no matter how busy I am, if they send me a message that I need this, I will stop what I'm doing and then help them. And so when we talk about mentorship and people helping, it's not that people cannot help you. It's not that people don't want to provide assistance, but your attitude towards them determines their response to you. Because we are in a society where everybody just wants to get. And there are people you commit so much time to support or something, and sometimes they become ungrateful. That's a different matter. But now your attitude will determine if someone provides a helping hand. And you don't know who provides that helping hand. That is why in your everyday life, you have to treat people with respect and dignity. And that is very important. So I'll just sum up here. I know I have been everywhere because I realize this is more of a conversation between colleagues. And so feel free to ask questions. And if I'm not able to answer all of them or stay on, once you follow me on Twitter, you can send me a message and I can always, also have conversation. But I think I will end here so there can be more time for questions. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Even McDad himself has actually commented in the chat section and said, amazing presentation. Honorable Richard, very soon we'll be calling you His Excellency because he's already affiliated with the UN. That was a very insightful presentation. Already, there's been so many remarks in the chat session applauding you and indicating how inspiring it has been and thanking you. So we thank you once again on behalf of TTI. My take from your presentation is that very important, begin to use your tools. You always buy credits and data. WhatsApp is there. WhatsApp is making money, and people that have bought stocks in WhatsApp are also making money because you are using WhatsApp and because you are using Facebook, you are using Instagram. You can buy stocks on there. You can also use your laptops and mobile phones to learn because there are so many courses online that you can learn to add your knowledge and to add to your skills as at now. Believe me when I tell you that some people don't know why they're in the university. Some people also think that what they are learning in the university is what they're going to do. Some are actually confused. They are there because they were told to be there. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. You can actually pivot. You can change your path that, okay, this is not what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it is possible. You can actually learn courses online. Go to Coursera, alison.com. Even Google courses are there for you to, add to your knowledge. And believe me, some of the employees don't even look at your certificate. All they look at is what you can do, And even if you present a lower, which I also have, by the way, I also have a lower, even if you present it and you add what you have done over the period, they are able, give you a platform to prove your skill. So this is a wake-up call to all of us. I really, really do appreciate. Also, he said you can be whomever you want to be. A book by Mr. Robert. Please Google it and download that book and read. It will help you. And he's also told you how he was able to apply for a scholarship, not once, not twice, but multiple times. And then he was able to get that scholarship to further his education, even when he lost his dad. I believe most people, once we lose one of our parents, that is it. And even if we don't lose our parents, but our parents get sick, we give up on life, that we have to stop school and go and take care of them. But believe me, you have a whole life ahead of you. So thank you very much for the amazing presentation. If you have questions, please use the reactions option available down there. Raise your hand. We'll call you for you to ask your question. Richard is here to answer them. So if you have any questions, please use the reactions button below. Raise your hand, and we are going to call you for you to ask your question. Aisha, please ask your question. Yes, hi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please, I want to know, like when you say read, when you say read, are novels included or they are just motivational books for us to read? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you very much for your question. Very, very interesting. In fact, I'm tempted to answer, but no, I'll leave it for Richard to do so. Any more questions before Richard starts answering? Any more questions? Okay. Please, you can answer this one for the meantime whilst we wait for anyone who has any other questions.
Yeah, I mean, novels are definitely included. You can read whatever inspires you. You can definitely read them. Now I also read more fictional novels because I do a lot of writing for global health, and so I read them purposely because I want to also, improve my writing skill. Novels and fictional stories also give you a lot of good writing skill and the flow. So if you have a passion to do some writing or journalism and you want to write, they are definitely, novels are also good. But also so reading is never bad, no matter the content, unless the content provides you with something that makes you an extremist. But if not, it's always good to keep reading to acquire new knowledge. And I think when we talk about motivational, yes, they call them motivational books, but when I'm reading them, I'm not reading them for motivation. I'm reading them to find solutions for my life. So and it's also how people read. Some people read these books and then they feel inspired, and after that they make some life plans, and after 1 week, that is it. Don't read them as a motivation. You are reading them to find solutions to specific issues that you want to resolve in your life. And that is how you should approach such books. And so when you actually pick a book, turn the back page, what is the background? What is the book talking about? And when you are reading, don't read to get motivated or inspired. No, as you're reading, take a book, take a pen, take a paper. As you're reading, be taking note. What advice is the author giving? How are they saying you should approach this? And take practical steps to do it. Not to read and feel inspired that, yeah, I'm going to change the world, and then after next 1 month, you are back to your life. No, read and take a pen and paper and take action based on the information they are giving you. Because reading without taking action is just like doing something for leisure.
Yeah, so that is actually very true. You have to actually have a reason why you're reading. I remember when I was in JHS, I used to read a lot of storybooks, lots and lots of storybooks, and by lots, I mean, they could go into the hundreds. And by then, JHS, it was a big deal, right? So it got to a point that I'm reading these storybooks in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and people were wondering, do you even understand what I read? I'm like, yeah, and I can tell you the stories. And trust me, these, okay, Christabel, please go ahead with the question. Christabel.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, so please, I remember Richard mentioned earlier about he made mention of employability skills, like developing skills aside from what we learn in school and all. So I want to know some of the skills like we should work on developing as you're in school and even as you're about to graduate to give us an upper hand in the society, like when we step out of school. So we won't be limited to what we know in school, like what you've learned our course of study and all. Yes. Thank you.
Richard, did you hear a question or?
Yeah, I think
come
I got it. I think when it comes to skills, they are both soft skills and then hard skills. And so mostly for soft skills, we are looking at, having the emotional intelligence, knowing how to even communicate to people, knowing what to say, what not to say at the right time is very important, And so I cannot go deep into that, but first, for instance, for soft skill, communication is very important. Like I've worked in an organization where, your boss says something, and then I'll say, you don't say, yeah, I think you said something, you are right, but I don't think you are right, I think that. You don't have to tell someone they are wrong before you make your point. There are skills you have to learn in communication. So you always say, like, oh, that was a very great idea, to add up to that. Or sometimes you have to know hierarchy and who is the boss in the room. After your boss, there's a lot of politics and skills in there, but basically those are some communication skills are very important. You don't go somewhere and try to take someone's space, as a student or even as an employee. So those are quite a bit of communication skills are very important, how to communicate and knowing how to, give and receive feedback. That's also another skill that you really need. A lot of us don't receive feedback positively because when people give us feedback about ourselves and about our work or attitude, we feel it's an attack. But who benefits from feedback? If I give you feedback, forget about what I say, whether it's harsh or not. Is it true? Is it correct? Receiving and giving feedback is one of the good skills for job. And so for some of you, when you go for 5 interviews, you don't get a job. And after those 5 interviews, you've not been able to ask for any feedback why you are not getting those jobs. You need to always ask for feedback. It's very important. And feedback could be harsh, but taking feedback is a skill that you need for a job. Because to get a job, you need feedback about how to improve. Then when it comes to hard skills, I think for that, it depends on the kind of job. If you are into communication or, engineering or design, it depends. But basically, whatever career that you want to pursue, know what skills are relevant for those fields and begin to learn them. Because I cannot give specific email communication is one very important thing because people send emails and I read them like, wow, you don't need this job. In fact, this email disqualifies you. How do you write it? Whew. So that is really important, how to write and communicate in emails. But basically, we would say that whatever career pattern that you want to pursue, know the language to use, know what is relevant in that sector. Let me give you an example. I attended an event in New York some time ago, and then they would ask, okay, what are issues of child labor in your country? Let me just use that example. So in my country, there are children who are working on the street, they don't have food to eat, and when they go home, their moms, you are basically telling a story. And then someone comes and says, yes, child labor is prevalent in Ghana. Statistics shows that around 30% of children are out of school. And in last year's report from the ILO, so and so happened. I will employ that person. They know their facts. So what field do you want to work in? Do you know the facts? Do you know the statistics? Do you know what is relevant in that field? That is what you should be learning and reading on. So depending on what career you want to pursue, read books about that career, get yourself updated with information on that career. When you hear Senior McDad speak on TV about, petroleum, gas, oil issues, my God, the guy knows his facts. So, and some of you may want to be in that field, yet you are not reading about statistics, you don't know about the report about, So whatever field you want to be in, begin to read about that field, begin to watch, people in that field, but basically know the facts as pertaining to your skills. I don't know if I've answered that, but that would be difficult to give you a set of skills depending on what profession, but communication is very important. And also taking feedback is important because it's in feedback that we can improve. Yeah.
That's correct. So to add to that, you have to know what you want and you have to know what you need before you can actually do the relevant research to improve upon that. Example, if you don't like communication, maybe you are a physicist or you are interested in medicine and you are doing a course in communication. Communication can help you generally, but I mean, how does it really feed into what you really need or what you really want to do with your life? So it's very, very important for you to know what you want. When you know what you want and when you know what you want to be in the car, that way it helps you to learn the relevant things to improve upon your skill. Okay, and trust me, the world we know before is not the world that is today. Lots of things have changed. Lots and lots of things have changed. So it's very good that you attend programs like this to learn and be abreast with new ways of doing things. Daniel, please.
Yes, I'm here with you.
Yes, please.
Daniel, this one is another Daniel, your carbon copy. He has a question.
Okay. Kitchen.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Yes, please. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. Please, I wanted to ask that motivation is very important to be able to achieve your goals. So I want to ask, when your motivation fuel is finishing or is very exhausted, what are the best ways to get back up? Because it's very hard these days.
Yeah, I feel you there. I think for a long time I didn't know where my own motivation came from, but I guess we all have to look within ourselves and find where that motivation is because it's different for everyone. So for me, for a long time, it's been my mom, who has been like my big motivation. Basically, looking at, she was selling in the market, sometimes I will be on campus, I go to visit her after my dad passed out in the market. Now she's not selling there anymore, of course, after making whatever I make, she's home, she's comfortable and all of that. But before then, anytime I go through an obstacle, like I feel like I'm down, things are not working, I just imagine the struggle she's going through and I'm just like, this can't continue. And that was one of the big factors that really pushed me all the time. Like, it's difficult, I don't feel motivated, but I have to move because, and I say my mom, because when we say motivation, what pushes you, it has to be an inner thing. It has to be, it doesn't have to be, I don't know how to put it into words, but it has to be an inner thing. When it's an inner feeling that motivates you, it pushes you to do things even when you don't feel like. And so my mom has been a very good motivation. Not that she caused me to inspire me, but I look at the situation she was in, and that was enough for me to do better. And also I had one of my motivations when I was growing, you can ask Noah, Daniel, when I was in high school, I would go to studies and I would be listening to some of this, music, sometimes this love music or some of these beautiful songs which talks about the world. And I always imagine myself traveling the world and doing things. And that was a big motivation for me. It challenged me to just do more. And so I always wanted to go international. I always wanted to do some of these things. And now I have the opportunity to do it. So it's also about your mindset, So you have to look within, analyze yourself. Do you like to listen to music? Is there a particular song that motivates you? Is there a particular somebody that motivates you? Is it also God, religion? Because at some point it played a very important role in my life. In fact, I would go to church, pray left, right, center. Now I'm not proud of my level of prayer. But that was also a big motivation factor for me, back in the days, knowing that there was a plan of God for me. I go to church and my pastor would, motivate me, talk to me. That was important. So it's a very important question you ask. Things are hard, but there are two questions you have to ask. what is the consequence of not taking an action now? If you refuse to do nothing now because you are not motivated, what will happen in the next 5 years, 10 years? Just think of that. And that can also be enough motivation, because your refusal to take action now will mean that you would suffer in the next 5, 10 years. And so that means there's really no option. You have to take action. And so that is very important. But basically, I would say, look within yourself. It could even be a girlfriend that is your motivation. In fact, that was my case for some time. There was a girl at Legon back in the days. Unfortunately, I didn't have the courage to toast her, but that was a good motivation for me to, always steady her, look good. But it could be anything at all. It could be a relationship, it could be a family member, but it should come from inside, something that tells you, I would make it no matter what. I don't know if I answered that, but that would be my bit on that.
Perfect. I'm most grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Esther, can you please go ahead with your question? And iPhone, please rename your account. I beg you.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning. And Sir Richard, please, actually, I'm an HR student, okay, and I've been called on to take up a position, okay, but then I had a chance to work with Mr. Daniel Adjumini when I was in level 100. And then looking at how student politics is done, I feel I might end up losing a lot of friends, okay, or probably stepping on other people's toes. And as it stands now, I'm in a dilemma whether to take up that position or whether to stay back and then give them my moral support. So please, I need an advice on how to go about things, because I would want to possibly relate to everyone well. Okay, I'm not really abreast with this politics stuff, so I don't really know what to do. So I really need an advice. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. I see a number of hands. So
Richard, I think I should take the other questions so that we can answer them in bulk. So please, this will be the last set of questions because our time is running and then we need to wrap up. iPhone, please rename your account. I can still see iPhone there, and I don't know if iPhone has become a person now or something. So please rename your account. So whilst you're doing that, we are going to take Francis' question, and then we'll come back.
Oh, all right. My question is actually, is there any situation where you actually feel like it's kind of too late? And my last question is that how do you know that you are thriving in the wrong thing? Even though it might be going well, maybe that is not what you've been called or you are maybe built to actually accomplish in life. How do you know that you are wasting your time based on those things and move on actually to the right things? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. We appreciate your question. Okay, I think there are no more questions. All right, Richard, please, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, for the first lady who asked the question and the one who has done some work with Daniel, I think, so basically, since you know Daniel, I would encourage you can get in touch with Daniel. Daniel could give you my contact details, and then we can take this, we can have a conversation about it. Because I think this is also more of a personal, dilemma that you are facing, and it's not a straightforward answer. You would have to make a lot of factors and considerations. And so, Daniel, we are just good colleagues. So just get in touch with Daniel, and then he direct you to follow up with me, and we can pick up this conversation if that's fine for you. And then I think the other gentleman, is it ever too late? I would say no. It is, unless you are sure that you are dying tomorrow, unless you can confirm that you are leaving this earth tomorrow, it is never too late. Because if you say it's late now, then after 5, 10 years, you are still living on this earth, you will still regret it. So it's never too late to start anything. And in my case, imagine after leaving the university, I had to wait for a whole year to go teach. My colleagues went ahead of me. And it's never too late, basically. you can always start somewhere. And this is where you have to understand that it's never a race. Life, it's never a race. We all have where we have to get to at different times, at different destinations. So if there's anything you want to start, you want to begin, it's never too late. Begin it now. And if that is what you are meant to do, you are meant to proceed. You can even see the result of it within the next year. Some people see results in 5 years, others see it in 10 years. So it all depends. So it's never too late in anything. As to whether, how do you know if you're on the right path? This is again another big question that I cannot provide a straightforward answer. But then there are sometimes you do things to survive because you need the money, you need the income. And in that case, there is not always whether it's the right thing I'm doing or not. Your first instinct is survival, and that's Maslow's basic theory of need. And so at that stage, it's difficult to begin to think it's what I'm doing right, because if you stop what you are doing and that is what is making you money to survive, then what happens? So it's important that depending on right or wrong, you make sure your survival is important. Then after that, you can begin to, if you want to know that what I'm doing is the right thing, again, take time and do some analysis on your own. I always love to take some time off, sometime during the week or every month. I do a 1 day full of reflection. You know, I do a bit of fasting, but it's not for spiritual reasons. I basically sit down, take food, maybe just get some water or something, and I basically sit and reflect on my life. And sometimes I smile for some of my achievement. I thank myself for what I've done. And I'm like, what can I do differently? What can I not do differently? Once you also begin to do that, you get in tune with yourself, and that can help you know whether you are doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Because I may not be able to tell you, but I think that for every human being, we have a conscience. There is something in tune with us that can help us understand what we need to do and what to. So you have to sit down, and I do practice some kind of meditation, and it's in our part of the world, maybe it's not very popular, but it's always good to. When we say come in tune with yourself, I don't want to go spiritual, but there's your body, there's the body, there's the soul and the mind, or there's the spirit, the body, and and sometimes you have to come to a time where you take time on your own. Stay away from noise, stay away from people, stay away from social pressure. Just put away all external factors, what somebody thinks, what is one thing. Be on your own. Relax and ask yourself, what do I actually want to do? Forget about everybody. What do you want? And come in tune with that fact. And when you come in tune with that fact, now come into the world, come into everyone else, and begin to pursue that. There's so much noise around us. And this could be a different conversation, but I think for a lot of young people, those listening, we've not been taught growing up that take time to meditate, to just plan, like sit on your own and just think about your life for some time. And so to say whether you are on the wrong or right path, I would say do some deep introspection about yourself and ask yourself, what do I really want? And when you ask that question, don't think of society, don't think of Facebook, don't think of anybody, think just about yourself. And that could help you answer that question, because those of us who have actually been able to answer that question, we've become true to ourselves. And when you become true to yourself, then you are fulfilling the purpose that God gave you or the talent that you have. And once you come in tune with your purpose or talent, nobody can stop you, because basically you are doing what you are supposed to do. But a lot of us are not in tune with ourselves. And so we are doing different things and we are struggling, But like I sit here and I speak and maybe you understand me, you are like, oh, it's brilliant, he's talking well. It's because I have found that this is what I am and this is what I want to do. And so I'm good at it. Your lecturer, Noah, it's good at explaining stuff, Noah is just good at explaining things for people to, he found what he's good at. Daniel Adjumani, put him in an event, he will organize it and everybody will be happy. And then, so you also have to come in tune. What is that one skill or talent that you have? And when you answer that question, even though there will be struggles in your way, there will be joy in doing what you do, because you become happy with that as well. And so that is very important. I know I'm speaking in a lot of abstract words, but I hope it does make sense.
Yes, of course, it does make a lot of sense. I can also give you a personal experience. For me, if I am demotivated, what I do is that I listen to these YouTube videos on motivation, and there are some very great speakers on there who can give you some very, very good motivations. Ask relevant questions about your existence, why you are here, what you want to do, what you are doing with your life. And to a very large extent, it has really helped me. Also, go for walks, like the way Richard said, go out sometimes, have an alone time. But I go for walks, and by the walks, I get in touch with nature, and it makes me actually appreciate some of the things that you might not realize if you're in your comfort zone. So I think that these ones are also very important things that you can do to get yourself motivated. As for Esther, I'd like to say that issues abound. There are lots of issues everywhere. If something that you feel will be against your conscience, please find somewhere to pass. Because
Yeah.
if it's going to affect you and then you have to live with regret for the rest of your life, I don't think it is worth it. However, if you feel there's an opportunity that if you hadn't done it, you regret, then that's one I believe that you can take that step. Because even if you look at the word motivation, the dictionary, it tells you, or it says that a reason for doing something. What is your reason for doing this? Is it because you want to be happy? Is it because you want to impact life? Is it because you want to scale from what you currently are, or move ahead in life? What is your reason? That reason is what is going to motivate you to move ahead. Just as Richard has actually outlined. We'll be doing a brain teaser shortly, out of which we're going to
quickly, I just share some links in the chat. It's one to a website where you can find so many opportunities. There are conferences, scholarships every day on that link. And then I also shared a video that I really love. It's by Arnold Schwarzenegger. We all know him, Commando. It's a 10-minute video about his life. And it's a motivational video, but it's one of the things that I have listened to over 100 times. I don't know how many times I've listened. It's also anytime you feel down, you feel not motivated, it's a good to go video. So I've shared that also for those who can. It's a YouTube video. It talks about his life journey, and you will also see the issue of planning. Arnold Schwarzenegger planned his life like 5-10 years ahead. Whoever he is now, the guy basically planned it and worked out exactly that way. So just take a look at the video, and then you can pick a few things from there.
Yes, that's also very insightful. As I said, we're going to do a quick brain teaser.